Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today we're doing something a little bit different. This will be an extra video out of sequence from our regularly scheduled video. So today's video has still been put out at 9 a.m. This one will be going out a little bit later. I'm basically shooting it. I'm going to edit it real quick and throw it online. What we're doing today is a quick unboxing of some comics that I ordered from a great online resource called MYCOMICSHOP.com. If you're not aware of that, you should definitely check it out. I've ordered from them. I'll say it again, MYCOMICBookShop.com. Pretty easy to find. I've ordered from them a bunch of times, never had any issues. And what I like about ordering from MYCOMICBookShop.com is if they do have the issue, they offer you many different kind of grades of the issue, right? So personally, I'm not into, spending, $50, $100, $150, $200 on a specific issue because it's a 9.6 or 9.7 or anything like that. I'm very content with reader copies, especially since my goal with these is just to basically fill those holes in the runs that I'm reviewing before I get to them. So there will be, unfortunately, some instances where I don't have every issue and we'll be skipping over a few. It's happened with Wolverine, with Mark Silvestri, and a few other things that I'm reviewing on the channel. But hopefully with orders like this, I can fill up those holes before I review them, and those issues will be there when I get to them. So what we're mostly going to find, I think, inside of here are probably things that I'm runs that I'm reviewing right now. So some possibly Incredible Hulk, some Savage Dragon, which is going to come later because I'm reviewing Eric Larson. I'm on Spider-Man right now, but going into Savage Dragon. Again, I'm not 100% sure the composition. I know there's a few Kirby comics in here because I will be hitting up some regular Kirby reviews once I finish up one of the runs of the artists I'm doing right now. So I think either Mark Silvestri might be first or Sam Keith. Once those kind of review runs are over, I'll be moving on to other artists, Jack Kirby being one of them. So slight mystery for me. I put in the order. I'm not exactly sure, don't remember off the top of my head exactly which comics are in here. So we're going to discover that together with this unboxing. Just funny kind of detail here. These comics came from Lone Star Comics, right? And that's in Arlington, Texas. That's pretty far away from Montreal, Canada. So it took a while to get here, but that's okay. So what we're going to do is unbox and have a look at what's inside. So let me just get the right tool here. While I'm doing that, I will remind everyone that we are on the road to 250 subscribers. My humble channel right now, we are hovering in around 180 subscribers as of today. So please, if you're watching the videos, I've checked the analytics. 11% of the viewership is those people, or are those people who are subscribed. The whopping number, 89% was shocking, of people who watch these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So it's a quick little click at the bottom on the subscribe button. It really helps out the channel, helps give us more visibility and get our videos out there to more people. And the more people are watching the channel, obviously that motivates us to continue and make more, hopefully interesting comic book content for you guys out there. All right, so I've got my handy dandy tool here. Be careful when you're doing this. Obviously, you don't want to damage your comics inside the box or your hand, damage yourself, right? So I'm going to try to be as careful as I can here. This is not, I feel, the best X-Acto. Maybe I should have broken off that blade, but, we'll deal with what we got. Is this going to open? Let me just get another cut along the top here. We should be all right with that. And yeah, once I get this open, I will move the box and basically pull out comics as they've been set here in this box. So as you can see, my comic book shop, pretty thorough with the packaging, making sure nothing happens with these comics to ship off to you. So some extra, paper padding. Got these corners here, which I think is a really good idea. That's probably the smartest thing they did. And obviously the padding on top here. So what I'm going to do is put this on my lap here now, so it's not in view of the camera, and so I can pull out the comics and show you what I got here. So you're also, I guess, going to be seeing me fumble with the packaging for a bit. Again, my comic book shop, nothing if not thorough in packaging those. So yeah, ordering from them, I wouldn't worry too much about your comics arriving in crappy condition. Just let me get this next kind of, they've even put it, like a bunch of them in a sealed, what seems like a sealed bag here. So let me just rip that open and then we can have a look at what's inside. And I don't even remember, so we can kind of see the surprise together, what I ordered. So I will try to basically pull them out one by one. in no particular order, maybe. I don't know if they left them in order. So they will also send you a shipment list of all the comics that you ordered, just to confirm, right? Basically, I guess like a receipt, just confirming that everything you want is in there. So I will check mark those later just to make sure everything I ordered is in there. It's quite a list there. So I ordered 52 comics. I don't remember the exact price. It was 200 something US, came out to about 300 something Canadian, right? Unfortunately, that's how it goes. So let's have a look at what we got here. In no particular chronological order, just the order that they sent it in. So here we have a pretty good copy here of Captain America and Falcon, the classic Kirby run from the 70s. I'm a huge Jack Kirby fan, so recently one of my buds was selling some comics, and I was able to get a few issues of that run from him, and using my comic book shop to just fill in those holes, so that eventually when I do my Kirby reviews, I know for sure, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have this whole Captain America run, which is awesome. I may have mentioned it before, I'll mention it again. I'm a huge fan of 70s Kirby. I think that's kind of his pinnacle. And this stuff is great. I mean, New Gods, you know, the stuff he did at DC, Forever People, is probably the pinnacle. Even stuff a little bit after that, like the Demon, I really like OMAC. Not that he's anything he did for Marvel in the 70s, you know, he's no slouch there either. I really enjoy the 2001, the big oversized, you know, adaptation of the movie, and then the series they did after. A lot of great, awesome Jack Kirby art in there. Even, you know, a comic that was shit on a lot back in the day, Devil Dinosaur. Open that book up, because there are some amazing double page splashes and just regular splash pages in that series as well. So yeah, to complete that run, I've got 213, I've got 195 here. And I'm pretty sure I ordered some more, but we're moving over then. Like I said, there's no particular order here. To a run that's not talked about too much is the Superman's pal, excuse me, right? Covered up here, Jimmy Olsen. This is, if you've not heard of it, kind of a weird issue where we have Don Rickles showing up in the comics. So I don't know if back then, even the 70s, if Don Rickles was still hip. But definitely, I guess Jack Kirby was a fan and somehow decided to include him in the comic. One fun detail, if you don't know about, or not so fun detail, I'll say, about the Kirby run on Jimmy Olsen, is the fact that DC decided to redraw most of his faces. And in this case, the Superman and the Jimmy Olsen faces, so that in, you know, according to them, the Superman and Jimmy Olsen would represent more the DC house style rather than the Kirby style, which was a little bit different, obviously, from the DC house style in the 70s. I've gone through, if you're a Kirby fan, you know about this. If you don't, there's a magazine, book, call it what you will, that comes out every once in a while called The Kirby Collector, which gives you a lot of background information on Jack Kirby and his art and what was going on back then. That's where we find out a lot of this information. And you can actually occasionally, and even if you go online and look it up, you can find the original pencils and see what Jack Kirby was doing with Superman and Jimmy Olsen's faces. I mean, not that different from here. They're a lot more Kirby-esque, obviously. So the Kirby faces that you can see in the original pencils, I don't have any issues with. I don't understand why DC did that back then. You know, corporations, they work in many mysterious ways. Sometimes it has to do with, you know, editors' egos and things like that. Jack Kirby's move to DC was not necessarily well received by everyone at DC. So sometimes I wonder if these were just ways of fucking with him, right? But unfortunately, that is what happened, and his faces were basically drawn by someone else. If I'm not mistaken, it was Brent Anderson, from what I can recollect. More Jack Kirby stuff. We've got Commandy. I love that series. Started off as probably some sort of Planet of the Apes inspired or ripped off series, but kind of went in its own direction, as Kirby often does. He starts off with a concept maybe that people know about or that's familiar to people, and then kind of brings it in some crazy direction. Some strange inking on this cover, not the best. I feel like it's maybe, if I'm not mistaken, D. Bruce Barry who's inking this cover. This is later on the run, so that could be who it is. You know, not my favorite inker on Kirby, but no matter what, no matter who's inking Kirby, always super awesome, evocative, dynamic covers, sometimes with, like I said, weird elements. You know, these, I don't know if these are, he calls them flying man-eaters, right? They're like flying sharks, but with short snouts. just odd looking creatures, but you know, Kirby's lexicon is full of odd looking creatures that I think are definitely fun, right? So we've got some more Captain America here. So issue 203, that's a great cover. Love that one. If I'm not mistaken, some of these covers are being inked by John Romita Jr. Not sure if this issue that's the case, but there are throughout this run. So 206 is another great issue. And obviously later on when I review the Kirby stuff, we will be reviewing these individual issues. This one, again, we've talked about DC changing stuff on Jack Kirby's art. This face here was definitely changed. You can go again on the internet, look this up for this issue, and you can see the original pencils are fine and look awesome, but for some reason Marvel editorial in this case, you know, they started even at Marvel to decide that they needed to change Jack Kirby's art to make it, I don't know, more palatable. I don't know why they did that. Jack Kirby's art was amazing, and I don't think anyone would have complained if his original pencils were what was inked on this cover rather than the look it has here. It's somewhat Kirby, but with a bit of Romita mixed in, I think. Let me just get this pile off here. All right, eventually I will be doing a Jay Lee review and reviewing his issues from early Marvel, which is Marvel Comics Presents and Namor, till he moved over to Image Comics, right? Jay Lee just has a very distinctive style. You can kind of spot some of the influences, but he still definitely made him his own. And even though his style got a little, I would say, more illustrative and not as 90s extreme and exaggerated later on, there's some things in the art here that he still does to this day in his more kind of classic refined illustrative style. So yeah, no particular order, as I said. So we've got some more Kamandi issues, right, with the Superman costume here. So I remember there's some sort of mystery relating to that in this issue because Kamandi does take place in the future of the DC universe. Here's another Kamandi, great dynamic Jack Kirby cover. Back to Namor here. So again, I'm just filling a few holes there. I got most of the run here. I think I was just missing 2 Namors, so they should be there. This is near the end of the Kamandi run. So what happens is near the end, Jack Kirby is kind of fed up. He's going to be moving back to Marvel. So he even stops writing the stories for some reason, because I guess he was contracted to draw them specifically, or his contract said all he had to do was draw and not write. So he's unfortunately at this point, because he knows he's going to be leaving, he's kind of doesn't want to give them anything for free. So he's not writing. And just doing the minimal effort, I guess, of doing the actual artwork. And not that he's a slouch, he's doing a great job, but even down to the cover, for some reason, I guess he wasn't doing the covers. So this, I'm pretty sure this is the last Jack Kirby issue. I could be wrong, but in around issue 40, you'll see these last few Kirby issues have Joe Kubert covers. So I guess his contract didn't include the covers, so he probably just didn't want to do it for DC. Here's another Kamandi. Great cover. And I'll move that pile off again so we can move on. So yeah, trying to get some Savage Dragon. Basically, I have a few of the early issues, and I'm trying to kind of get a complete run from issue 1. I mean, there's the miniseries 1, 2, 3, and then issue 1 to 50 is what I'm looking for. So that's just me here trying to fill the holes. And there's quite a few that I'm missing for Savage Dragon. They're actually, once you get past about issue 25, I would say, they're pretty hard to find at decent prices. So thankfully, MYCOMICSHOP is there, and they have some pretty decent copies at decent prices. I was talking about Devil Dinosaur earlier, so I'm definitely trying to fill up in that run as well. I can't wait to get to this one, because there's some great, I know, splashes specifically in this issue here. Some great artwork. And I'm not quite sure who the inker is. Maybe it's Joe Sinnott. It could be. K/S was kind of a classic signature when it was Kirby and Sinnott together. So I do recognize Sinnott's kind of thick, bold lines, but fairly clean. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's him. Some more Kamandi here. If you don't know about Kamandi, he's often fighting kind of the Isle of Dr. Moreau human-animal hybrid types, right? Again, extrapolating on the Planet of the Apes concept, where instead of just having apes, eventually he pushes out and tries some different things. And we basically get a bunch of different hybrid human-animal characters throughout the series, right? There's lions, there's gators, there's a whole bunch of different stuff. Here's another one of those later issues with the Joe Kubert cover. Not that Joe Kubert is a slouch or anything. I do feel he's trying to create kind of a Jack Kirby-esque composition, but it doesn't quite work as well, I think, as Jack Kirby, because the style is a little more illustrative, a little more classic, you know, a little more realistic, if you will. Not that it's bad, not, as I said, not that Joe Kubert is any kind of slouch, but I do prefer Jack Kirby generally. Issue 205 of the Captain America run. Another issue of Devil Dinosaur. This one's a little rougher, but that's fine because I got it for a decent price. And as I said, you know, definitely what I would consider a fairly rough reader copy, but I'm still more, I guess they have tape here sometimes. Let me open this guy up and have a look just because I'm curious right now. One thing I do with my comics, the first thing is I take off the tape. I've had too many instances of sliding comics in there and sticking to the cover and ripping a bit of the cover off, and it really pissing me off. So I just now do not put tape on my bags that I put my comics in. So yeah, they seem to have sent me a copy that was scotch taped here. Not the end of the world. I guess that was to keep the cover on. But again, I probably got it at a really decent price, so it's still in pretty good condition overall. Still holding together. I accept that. All right, let's move on to something a little bit different here. I am doing Tom McFarlane, and eventually we'll do Greg Capullo, so we will be talking a lot about Spawn. And Spawn is another one, just like Savage Dragon. Once you get past about the 60s, really hard to find decent priced issues. Really hard to find the issues, you know, just the issue, but to get it at decent price is hard as well. This is a great Greg Capullo cover. Greg Capullo, also one of my favorite artists. Amazing artist. We've got some more Commandi here. Some more Jimmy Olsen. The Jimmy Olsens are pretty hard to find too. They're pretty pricey. So when I do find a decent reader copy at a decent price, I pick it up. So that's what you have here. Again, look at those faces. Definitely not Jack Kirby faces. This cover was obviously inked by a more traditional kind of DC feathery kind of inker. Not quite sure who it is. I know some of these covers were inked by Neil Adams. I don't necessarily think this one was, but everyone kind of going for that Neil Adams feathering and hatching and stuff. So you see a little bit of that here. If I do have at some point a Neil Adams inked cover, so inked over Jack Kirby, I will mention it. Another issue of Commandi, issue 15. So we got the ape characters, we got, you know, the lion here, we got a dog, a lot of anthropomorphized animals. That's a hard word. Basically means humanizing animals, right? I'm not going to try saying that again. So another bit of Commandi, always very dynamic, you know, foreshortening and stuff. Jack Kirby is a master. This issue was pretty hard to find, so I found it there at a pretty decent price. Again, reader copy, you got a bit of white on the side here, but really not the end of the world for me. I'm not looking at the value of the comic. I'm mostly looking just to fill that hole in my collection and to have the whole set, right? Reader copies, as I've said before, are fine with me. So what else we got here? Got super awesome. I love this cover because of the dark spots. When Jack Kirby does these almost kind of silhouette things, there's just something kind of energetic about it, and I don't know, dynamic. It's hard to describe, but I just think it looks really cool. And another issue of Commandi right here, a little later on in the run. So the inking I find is just a little thinner, not as appropriate, I guess, for Jack Kirby, where, you know, whoever inked this, I think more than likely earlier on, number 24 was probably still Mike Royer, who I still will tell you guys that I think is the best Kirby inker all around, the most accurate to the Kirby pencils, right? And we got the second pile here. I'm gonna have to open this bag up real quick, and we'll see what's inside. So if I flip that over, so perfect. This is a good example of what I was talking about. This I know for sure is Jack Kirby inked by Neil Adams. So again, the faces have been changed, even though here, I mean, you can still, there's something about the Kirby eyes and sometimes being a little bit too far apart or whatever that I feel was still kind of held here or kept. Jack Kirby doing one of his collages that he started doing in the 60s and 70s for the background of this cover. And Superman here, even though it's a very dynamic Kirby pose, definitely inked in that feathery Neil Adams style, right? I don't know how well it works. I think Neil Adams is a great artist, Jack Kirby as well. I don't think their styles necessarily mesh together really well, but that's what we got here. At least we have an example of what that would look like. Some more Savage Dragon, hard to find issues. I don't know if this one's that hard to find, but it was hard for me to find at a decent price. And we got some Commandi again, those later issues near issue 40. This gator person I was talking about earlier, I assume these are dogs or wolves. And of course, this is a Jack Kubert cover, not a Joe Kubert cover, not a Jack Kirby cover. That is quite a tongue twister if you start saying that too many times. Another great cover by Kirby, unfortunately marred by the change of faces. I find super annoying. The Incredible Hulk. Issue 377 is just really hard to find. I'm going to throw that out there at a decent price. So I don't know if I'm going to have it before I get to it in the run of my reviews, but almost there with the rest of them. Not a lot of issues left for me to fulfill that Dale Keane Incredible Hulk run. Some more holes in my Namor Jay Lee run, so that's why I've got this issue here. Great cover. And some more Savage Dragon. This issue was super cheap. I was surprised. I used to have it. I got rid of it back in the day in one of my first purges. So sometimes it kind of sucks to have to rebuy issues that you had. But hey, I remember this issue with fondness. So I'm looking forward to reviewing it when we get to it, which will be pretty quick because I do believe this is number 2. Is it number 2 in the regular Eric Larson series? I'm pretty sure, excuse me, the Savage Dragon series. I'm pretty sure that's issue number 2. Oh, this is a fun one. I was very happy to find 2. We'll see another one, I guess. 2, from what I remember, 2 X-Force issues to fill up my Greg Capullo on X-Force run. And, you know, back in the 90s with the gimmick covers, that's what we got here. Any of you who remember that, you know what I'm talking about. Here's another cover that I don't even think is drawn by Jack Kirby. I think this is fully a Neil Adams cover. I could be wrong, but I do feel like overall the composition, the layout, the feathering, even the anatomy, the girth of the character. You know, Jack Kirby generally makes him a little more muscular, a little wider. This Superman looks a little more athletic, so I'm pretty sure this is just fully a Neil Adams cover. Got another issue here of Devil Dinosaur. Again, a very underrated series. People, you know, it's kind of the butt of a lot of people's jokes in the comic book world. But again, if you go back and look at it and what his goal was, it was meant to be a series for kids because it was originally a pitch for an animated series. But there's just some really awesome visuals and splash pages and things all throughout this series. Here's another later Commandi issue in around issue 40. This is 39. So we get the Jack, still getting confused there, the Joe Kubert cover rather than the Kirby cover. Let me just move that. Some more Spawn. In the 90s, like, is the hardest kind of 90 to 100. Those issues are the hardest to find overall for Spawn. I'm almost there. I'm really not missing a lot, but most of the ones I'm missing are within that 90 to 100 range. Here's another Commandi. A lot of Commandi in this one. I'm going to be happy to fill those holes. This is a classic one here for my Incredible Hulk run. Dale Keown starting to look very Pitt-like in his artwork. This is awesome. Almost like the, you know, at that image level. Once he starts Pitt, obviously he's going to go even more extreme. But compared to the issues I'm reviewing right now, this is the Dale Keown stuff that I really enjoyed on Hulk back in the day. That's a classic issue. I'm not going to, you know, reveal too much, but the cover kind of gives you, if you know a little bit about Savage Dragon, kind of gives you the gist of the story, what's going to be happening here. Some more Commandi. Man, I'm going to be filling up holes in that Commandi collection like it's nobody's business. Love it. Some more Jack Kirby on Jimmy Olsen. Not quite sure who's inking this cover, but again, the faces have been messed with, unfortunately. This series is really hard to find. Really hard to find issues to fill. There's only 11 of them, right? But they're hard to find and pretty expensive when they're in good condition. So I don't know how many Forever People issues I actually ordered. It might just be the one, but slowly but surely I will get there. This, I assume, is the second part of the first part of what we saw before. Once again, with this gentleman here, forget his name right now, Don Rickles, that's it. We've got Kamandi meets Dune, I guess, with the giant worm here. Again, Jack Kirby's known to take inspiration from a lot of things that he hears, that he reads, so I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, at this point he encountered Dune somehow or someone told him about it, and the idea of a giant worm he just threw into his comic here. There's that other Greg Capullo X-Force issue. Now this is a period where Greg Capullo, great artist that he is, was smart enough, you know, or the editors were telling him to kind of draw on that 90s hatching style, right? So that's what we're getting here. His style will obviously become very different once he moves on to Spawn, more McFarlane-esque, obviously. But the structure, you know, the underlying drawing and composition is, you know, Capullo was always strong even from the beginning. Let me just get that out of the way, and we just got a couple more to look at. So another Superman Jimmy Olsen issue. If I look at this, I do think there's no Jack Kirby artwork involved here. This is all, pretty sure this is all Neil Adams. These comics, it says 52 pages here, but if I'm not mistaken, they were reprinting some older comics in the back, so it's not like it's a 52-page Superman Jimmy Olsen story, unfortunately, right? And the last issue that we're going to look at real quick is just another one in the run for the Captain America and the Falcon. The Marvel Explosion starts here. Not quite sure what that means, but another great dynamic Kirby cover, and I'm sure all the artwork inside is just as dynamic and exciting. And there you have it. Those are the comics that I ordered from MYCOMICSHOP.com. So if you're looking to fill holes in your collection, definitely recommend that you hit them up online and order up those comics in whatever various conditions that you're looking for. I want to thank everyone out there for taking the time to check out this extra video that I put out. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope everyone out there has an awesome day.
Like, subscribe, like, subscribe.
King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KingComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.